The champagne smelled like vinegar to me, or maybe that was just my nerves turning everything sour. I stood in the hotel ballroom doorway, watching crystal chandeliers throw fractured light across 200 chairs draped in ivory silk, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a trap I'd set for myself. My sister Rachel hadn't spoken to me in 8 months. Not a word. Not a text. Just that cream-colored invitation that arrived 3 weeks ago with my name written in gold calligraphy. Kate Myron and guest. No guest. Just me. I smoothed down the front of my dress, a simple navy thing I'd bought on sale because I couldn't justify spending real money on this, and took one step inside. The carpet was so thick it swallowed the sound of my heels. Somewhere a string quartet was playing something classical and forgettable. I scanned a room for my name card among the tables scattered, like islands across the ballroom floor. Table 1. Table 2. The wedding party table on the raised platform, of course, where Rachel would sit with her new husband Marcus and pretend to be surprised by the speeches. Table 3. 4. 5. My mother appeared at my elbow like a ghost, all perfume and panic. Kate. Her voice was tight. You're late. Traffic. I lied. Everyone's already here. The ceremony starts in 20 minutes. She gripped my arm, fingers digging through the fabric. Please. Please just don't make a scene today. When have I ever made a scene? She didn't answer that. She just looked at me with those tired eyes that always made me feel like I was the problem, the crack in the family photo, the reason she'd started drinking white wine at lunch. Then she walked away, her heels clicking a retreat across the ballroom floor. I kept searching for my name. Table 6. 7. 8. Nothing. The room was filling up now. Aunts I barely recognized. Cousins I'd played with as a child, who looked through me like I was made of glass. Rachel's friends from college, the ones who'd always treated me like the weird little sister, too serious, too quiet, too much in my own head. I saw Marcus's family clustering near the front, all broad smiles and expensive watches. Still no name card with Kate Myron on it. I circled back, thinking maybe I'd missed it. Maybe it was at one of the smaller tables near the windows, the ones reserved for the plus ones who didn't really know anyone. My heart was starting to beat faster now, a drum against my ribs that I tried to ignore. Looking for something? I turned. Rachel stood there in her wedding dress, this massive white construction of lace and tulle that probably cost more than my car. She looked beautiful. She always looked beautiful. That had never been our problem. My seat, I said, keeping my voice steady. I can't find my name card. Something flickered across her face. Not quite a smile. Not quite anything I could name. Oh, she said. Right. Your seat. She walked past me, trailing perfume and the whisper of fabric, and I followed because what else was I supposed to do? She moved through the tables with the confidence of someone who knew every detail of this room, every flower arrangement, every folded napkin. She walked past the main tables, past the ones by the windows, all the way to the back corner of the ballroom, where the wall met the entrance, where the catering staff had set up their station. She stopped. She pointed at a single folding chair, not one of the silk-draped ones, just a plain metal folding chair, the kind you'd find in a church basement. It sat beside the door, right next to a tall trash bin that the caterers were using for discarded napkins and empty bottles. There, Rachel said. Her voice was flat. That's your seat. I stared at it, at the chair, at the trash bin with someone's lipstick-stained tissue visible on top, at the door that led to the hallway, to the elevators, to the parking lot, to anywhere but here. You're joking, I said. Do I look like I'm joking? I turned to face her. Her makeup was perfect. Her hair was perfect. Everything about this moment was perfectly, meticulously planned. Rachel, what is this? It's your seat, Kate. I thought I was being generous even giving you that. She tilted her head, and for just a second, I saw something sharp behind her eyes. You don't belong here. You know that, right? After what you did. After what you said to Marcus. My stomach dropped. That was 8 months ago. I apologized. I explained. You told my fiancé that I was making a mistake. At our engagement party. In front of everyone. I told him you were rushing into things. That's not the same as. You tried to ruin this for me. Her voice was rising now, losing that controlled flatness. You've always tried to ruin everything for me. Every boyfriend. Every achievement. You can't stand that I'm happy. People were starting to look. I could feel their eyes. Those little pinpricks of attention from guests pretending not to eavesdrop. That's not true, I said quietly. Sit in your chair, Kate. Or don't. I really don't care anymore. She started to turn away, then stopped. Actually, you know what? Don't sit. Don't stay. You don't belong here. You never did. The words hit like a slap. For a moment, I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I just stood there in my sale rack dress next to a folding chair and a trash bin while my sister walked away in her $1,000 gown. Then something broke loose inside me. Not anger. Not the explosion she probably expected. Something colder. Cleaner. I smiled. It surprised me, feeling my lips curve up. It surprised Rachel too. She'd taken 3 steps and turned back to see if I would cry, if I would beg, if I would make that scene my mother was so afraid of. Instead, I smiled at her. A real smile. Maybe the most honest thing I'd given her in years. Okay, I said. Then I turned and walked toward the door. My heels clicked on that thick carpet, loud now in the sudden quiet that had fallen over the room. I walked past the tables of staring guests, past my mother who started to stand and then sat back down, past Marcus's family who whispered behind their hands. I walked straight out of that ballroom, through the hotel lobby with its marble floors and gilt mirrors, out the front doors into the late afternoon sun. The parking lot stretched out before me, rows of cars glinting in the light. My little sedan sat in the far corner where I'd parked it, and I started walking toward it, digging in my clutch for my keys. The air smelled like cut grass and car exhaust. Somewhere a bird was singing. Traffic hummed on the highway beyond the hotel. Normal sounds. The world just continuing like nothing had happened. I reached my car. Found my keys. Unlocked the door. That's when I heard it. Kate. Footsteps. Running. The slap of expensive shoes on asphalt. Kate, wait. I turned. Rachel was running across the parking lot, her dress gathered in both fists, her carefully styled hair already coming loose. Her face was red. Mascara smudged under one eye. She was crying. Kate, please, she gasped, stumbling to a stop 3 feet from me. Please don't go. Please don't leave like this. I stood there with my car door open, keys in my hand, and stared at my sister. The sister who'd just humiliated me in front of 200 people. The sister who'd told me I didn't belong at her wedding. The sister who was now sobbing in a parking lot in her wedding dress 10 minutes before her ceremony was supposed to start. Why? I asked. My voice sounded far away, like it was coming from someone else. Why would you do that to me, Rachel? She covered her face with her hands. Her whole body was shaking. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Kate, I'm so sorry. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking past me, at something over my shoulder. And that's when I heard the second set of footsteps. I turned slowly, my hand still gripping the car door handle like an anchor. Marcus stood there in his tuxedo, boutonniere slightly crooked, his face unreadable. Behind him, 3 more figures were crossing the parking lot. My mother, Marcus's best man, a guy named Trevor I'd met once at a barbecue, and someone else. A woman in a pale pink dress I didn't recognize, hanging back near the hotel entrance. Rachel, Marcus said quietly. What are you doing? My sister's head snapped up. The tears stopped like someone had turned off a faucet. I watched her face change, watched something smooth over the panic, replace it with something harder. I'm bringing her back, Rachel said. I overreacted. I was stressed. It's fine now. Is it? Marcus looked at me. Kate, I'm sorry about what happened in there. Rachel's been under a lot of pressure. Don't apologize for me, Rachel said sharply. Someone needs to. He stepped closer, and I noticed his jaw was tight. That was cruel, Rachel. Even for you. Even for you. Those 3 words hung in the air like smoke. What's that supposed to mean? Rachel's voice had an edge now, the tears completely gone. It means your sister drove 2 hours to be here and you put her next to the trash. It means you've been looking for an excuse to punish her for 8 months. He turned to me. What you said at the engagement party, about us rushing, about Rachel not being ready. You were right. Marcus. My mother's voice cut across the parking lot as she reached us, slightly breathless. The guests are waiting. The photographer is asking questions. Can we please just go back inside and handle this later?
No.
He didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on Rachel. We're not going back inside until we talk about this. Talk about what? Rachel's voice was rising. About how my sister tried to sabotage my relationship. About how she's been jealous of me since we were kids. I have never been jealous of you, I said. The words came out harder than I intended. Oh, please. Saint Kate, who does everything right, who never makes mistakes, who judges everyone else for actually trying to be happy. Rachel was pacing now, her dress dragging on the asphalt. You couldn't stand that I found someone. That I was getting married first. That for once in our lives, I was the one everyone was paying attention to. That's not. You told him I was making a mistake. You told him I wasn't ready. What you really meant was that you couldn't believe someone would want me more than they'd want you. The accusation hit me like cold water. Are you insane? Rachel, I've never competed with you. I've never wanted what you have. Liar. She's not lying, Marcus said quietly. Everyone went still.
What?
Rachel turned to him. She's not lying. You know she's not. He ran a hand through his hair, messing up whatever product his stylist had put in it. Kate didn't say those things because she was jealous. She said them because she knew. Knew what? My mother stepped forward. Marcus, what are you talking about? He looked at Rachel for a long moment. Something passed between them, something I couldn't read. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his phone. I need to show you something, he said to me. Marcus, don't. Rachel's voice was different now. Smaller. Please don't do this. She deserves to know why you really put her by that trash bin. He held out the phone. The woman in the pink dress? Standing by the door? That's Lauren. We work together. I didn't take the phone. Okay. She's been texting me for 3 months. Asking about the wedding. Asking if I was sure about marrying Rachel. Asking if I remembered what happened between us last year. The air seemed to thicken. Nothing happened, Rachel said quickly. He told me. They had one conversation at an office party where she came on to him and he turned her down. That's it. That's not it. Marcus was still holding out the phone. Kate, take it. Read the messages from last week. My hands were shaking as I took the phone. Rachel made a move toward me, but Marcus stepped between us. Let her read it, he said. I scrolled through the texts. They were all from a contact labeled Lauren W. The recent ones made my stomach turn. You're really going through with this? She trapped you. You know that, right? I saw the pregnancy test in her bathroom last Christmas. Did she ever tell you about that? Funny how she lost that baby right after you proposed. Or did she ever have one at all? I looked up at Rachel. What is she talking about? My sister's face had gone white. She's lying. She's a psycho who's obsessed with Marcus. She's been stalking us. Then why did you invite her to the wedding? I asked. Silence. Why is she here, Rachel? I didn't invite her, Rachel whispered. She came with Trevor. She's his date. Trevor, the best man, shifted uncomfortably. Look, I didn't know there was drama. Lauren asked if she could come. I said yes. That's it. I looked back at the phone. At the messages. At the date stamps. 3 months of this woman asking questions, making accusations, and Marcus. Marcus responding. Not shutting her down. Responding. I don't know what to believe anymore. He'd written 2 weeks ago. Rachel won't talk about it. Every time I bring it up, she cries or changes the subject. Was there ever really a baby? You told her about the pregnancy, I said to Rachel. You told everyone. You called me crying, saying you were scared but excited. You made me promise not to tell Mom yet because it was early. I was pregnant. Rachel's voice was breaking. I was. I lost it. These things happen. When? I asked. When did you lose it? Because you told me you were 8 weeks along in January. You told Marcus you lost it in February. But in March, you were at that wine tasting event posting pictures on Instagram. Drinking. I was emotional. I wasn't thinking clearly about the timeline. Or there was no baby. Marcus's voice was flat. You made it up to get me to propose. Then you lost it conveniently after I'd already bought the ring. How can you say that? Rachel's tears were back, streaming down her face, taking mascara with them. How can you accuse me of that? Because Lauren found the fake positive test in your Amazon order history. The one you can buy online. The one that always shows 2 lines. He took his phone back from me. She sent me the screenshot yesterday. My mother made a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. No, Rachel said. No, that's not. I would never. You would. I heard my own voice, distant and cold. You would do that. Because you've done it before. Everyone turned to look at me. In college, I said. Your sophomore year. You told Brian you were pregnant to keep him from breaking up with you. You told me about it later, laughed about it, said he was so scared that when you miscarried, he was actually relieved and felt too guilty to leave. You said it was the smartest thing you ever did. Kate. My mother's voice was shaking. Stop. Why? I looked at her. Why should I stop? Why am I always supposed to be quiet about the truth? Why am I the bad guy for saying out loud what everyone knows but won't admit? Because you're her sister, my mother said. Because family protects each other. She put me next to a trash bin, I said flatly. She told me I don't belong here. What exactly am I protecting? Rachel had sunk down onto the asphalt, her dress pooling around her like spilled milk. She wasn't crying anymore. She was just sitting there, staring at nothing. I didn't fake the pregnancy, she said quietly. I didn't. I was pregnant. I was. Can you prove it? Marcus asked.
How?
How do I prove something like that? It was 8 months ago. I bled. I cramped. I lost it at home. I didn't go to the hospital because I was scared and ashamed. She looked up at him. You believed me then. You held me while I cried. You told me we'd get through it together. When did you stop believing me? When Lauren showed me your search history from December. How to fake a pregnancy test. Convincing miscarriage symptoms. Making him propose before you lose him. She hacked my computer, Rachel said desperately. Can't you see that? She's framing me. She wants to break us up. Maybe, Marcus said. Or maybe Kate was right 8 months ago. Maybe you're not ready for this. Maybe I'm not ready for this.
He loosened his tie.
Maybe we need to postpone. Postpone. My mother's voice was shrill. There are 200 people in that ballroom. The ceremony starts in 10 minutes. You can't postpone a wedding 10 minutes before it's supposed to start. Sure I can, Marcus said. Watch me. He walked away, back toward the hotel, pulling out his phone as he went. Trevor jogged after him, calling his name. My mother rounded on Rachel. Fix this. Fix this right now.
How?
Rachel looked up at her, face blotchy and streaked. How do I fix this, Mom? I don't know, but you figured out. This family has sacrificed everything for this wedding. Do you know how much money your father and I put into this? Do you know how many favors I called in to get the Ashford ballroom? Do you know how humiliating it's going to be to walk in there and tell everyone it's canceled? Then don't tell them, Rachel said. Tell them it's delayed. Tell them I'm sick. Tell them anything. Why should I? My mother's voice cracked. Why should I save you from this, Rachel? Kate was right. You've been lying. Maybe not about the pregnancy. Maybe about that you're telling the truth.
But about something.
You've been lying about something, and now it's all falling apart. She walked away too, following Marcus, leaving just me and Rachel alone in the parking lot. The sun was setting now, throwing long shadows across the asphalt. In the distance, I could hear traffic.
Birds.
The hum of the hotel's air conditioning units. Normal life continuing while my sister's carefully constructed world collapsed around her. Kate, Rachel said finally. Say something. I crouched down next to her, my knees protesting. We were at eye level now, two sisters in a parking lot, surrounded by the wreckage of a wedding that might not happen. Did you really fake the pregnancy?
I asked.
She looked at me. Really looked at me, maybe for the first time in years. I don't know, she whispered. What do you mean, you don't know? I mean, I took a test and it was positive. I told Marcus. I was happy. We were happy. Then a week later, I started bleeding and I took another test, and it was negative. But I'd already told everyone. Already made all these plans. Already had Marcus looking at me like I was the most important thing in the world. She picked at the lace on her dress. So when he asked if I'd gone to the doctor, I said yes. When he asked if they confirmed it, I said yes. I kept saying yes because the alternative was watching him look at me like I was nothing again. So you did lie. I don't know. Maybe I was pregnant for a week. Maybe the test was wrong. Maybe I miscarried so early it barely counts. I don't know what the truth is anymore, Kate. I just know that when I told everyone I was pregnant, people cared about me. People paid attention. And when I lost it, they kept caring. They kept paying attention. Marcus proposed. She looked up at the darkening sky. If I'd just told the truth from the start, would he have proposed anyway? Would any of this have happened? I don't know, I said honestly. That's why I hated you at the engagement party. When you said I wasn't ready, that we were rushing, you were poking at the thing I was most afraid of. That Marcus didn't really want to marry me. That he was just doing it because of the baby. Because of guilt. Because of anything except actually loving me. Rachel. And then you left that night, and I couldn't stop thinking about what you'd said. Couldn't stop wondering if you were right. And that made me hate you even more. So when I was planning the seating chart, I saw your name, and I wanted you to hurt the way I was hurting. I wanted you to feel as small as I felt. The parking lot was empty now except for us. The wedding guests were probably still inside, confused, waiting for someone to tell them what to do. The trash bin was too much, I said. I know. You can't treat people like that. Not even me. I know. She reached out, hesitated, then took my hand. Her fingers were cold. I'm sorry. For all of it. For the seating chart. For blaming you for Marcus having doubts. For every time I've made you feel like you were the problem when really I was just scared of being the problem myself. I squeezed her hand. What are you going to do? I don't know. Marcus might be calling off the wedding right now. Mom's probably having a breakdown in the bathroom. And there's a stalker in a pink dress inside who apparently has access to my computer. She laughed, sharp and bitter. I've really outdone myself this time. We should go inside, I said. Figure out what's happening. Will you come with me? I looked at my sister, mascara-streaked and terrified, sitting in her ruined wedding dress in a parking lot. The sister who'd hurt me, who'd humiliated me, who'd just confessed to lying about the pregnancy that had led to this entire wedding in the first place. The sister who was holding my hand, like I was the only solid thing in her world. Yeah, I said. I'll come with you. We stood up together, and I helped her gather her dress so it wouldn't drag too much. We started walking back toward the hotel, two sisters side by side, heading into whatever mess waited for us inside. We made it 3 steps before the hotel's side door burst open and Lauren, the woman in the pink dress, came running out. And she was holding something. A knife from the catering station, long and serrated, catching the last light of the sunset. You ruined everything, she screamed, running straight at Rachel. He was supposed to see the truth. He was supposed to come back to me. I didn't think. I just moved. I stepped in front of my sister and felt the blade slice across my forearm, sharp and burning and suddenly wet. Then I was on the ground and Rachel was screaming and Lauren was standing over me with the knife raised again, her face twisted into something I didn't recognize as human. You're all the same, she hissed. All of you, taking what should be mine. The knife came down. The blade never reached me. Marcus hit Lauren from the side like a linebacker, his tuxedo jacket flying open as he tackled her to the asphalt. The knife skittered away, spinning across the parking lot with a sound like metal grinding against stone. Trevor was there a second later, pinning Lauren's arms while she thrashed and screamed, her pink dress tearing at the seams. "Call 911, Marcus shouted. I was still on the ground, staring at my arm. Blood was running down to my wrist, dripping onto the asphalt in dark drops that looked almost black in the fading light. The cut wasn't deep, I didn't think, but it burned like someone had dragged a hot wire across my skin. Rachel dropped to her knees beside me, her dress ballooning around us. "Oh my God. Oh my God. Kate, you're bleeding." "I'm okay," I said. My voice sounded strange, too calm. "Shock, probably. You stepped in front of her. You stepped in front of a knife for me."
"Yeah, well."
I pressed my other hand against the cut, trying to stop the bleeding. Stupid sister instinct, I guess. My mother appeared, phone pressed to her ear, already giving the 911 operator our location. Her face was white, but her voice was steady. "Yes, we need police and an ambulance. A woman attacked my daughter with a knife. Yes, we have her restrained. Please hurry." Lauren had stopped struggling. She lay there under Trevor and Marcus's combined weight, sobbing into the asphalt. "He was mine," she kept saying. "He was supposed to be mine. She stole him. She stole everything." "I barely know you," Marcus said, his voice shaking with adrenaline or anger or both. "We worked on one project together."
"One."
"I was never yours, Lauren. There was never anything between us." "There could have been. If she hadn't trapped you. If she hadn't lied about being pregnant. Even if she lied," Marcus said quietly, "that wouldn't make me yours. That would just make me single. And I still wouldn't want you." Lauren's sobs got louder, more ragged. She sounded like an animal caught in a trap. Rachel was trying to tear strips from her dress, trying to make a bandage. Her hands were shaking so badly, she couldn't manage it. "I need something. Kate, I need something to stop the bleeding." "Here." A new voice. I looked up to see one of the hotel staff, a young guy in a vest and bow tie, holding out a clean white tablecloth. "I brought the first aid kit too." "Thank you," Rachel breathed. She pressed the cloth against my arm and I hissed at the pressure.
"Sorry. I'm sorry."
"I have to stop the bleeding." "I know. It's okay. You're doing good." "I'm doing terrible. My hands won't stop shaking." "Let me." The hotel staffer knelt beside us, opening the first aid kit with practiced efficiency. "I'm trained in this. Used to be an EMT before I took this job." He gently moved Rachel's hands aside and examined my arm. "Okay, good news. It's not deep. Lot of blood, but it missed anything important. We'll get you cleaned up and bandaged until the paramedics arrive." I let him work, watching Rachel's face instead. She was staring at the blood on her hands, her white wedding dress now stained red at the knees where she'd knelt. Her carefully styled hair was falling out of its pins. Her makeup was destroyed. She looked nothing like the perfect bride who'd stood in that ballroom an hour ago. She looked real. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer.
"Rachel," I said.
She looked at me. "Thank you. For kneeling in the blood. For trying to help. You're my sister. You took a knife for me. That's not something you thank someone for. That's just..." She made a helpless gesture. "That's just what it is." The police arrived first, 2 squad cars screaming into the parking lot with lights blazing. Officers jumped out, hands on their weapons until they saw Lauren was already restrained. Marcus and Trevor backed away, hands raised, letting the officers take over. They pulled Lauren to her feet, cuffed her, read her rights while she cried and babbled about Marcus and fate and how she'd only wanted to help him see the truth. The ambulance came next. Paramedics with confident hands and calm voices, checking my arm, checking my vitals, asking questions about what happened. One of them looked at the hotel EMT's work and nodded approvingly. "Good job. Clean bandaging. You probably saved her from needing stitches." "Probably still need them," the EMT said. "Better safe than sorry. We'll take her to County General. Let the ER doc decide." The paramedic looked at Rachel. "Are you family?" "I'm her sister." "You want to ride with her?" Rachel looked down at her bloody, ruined wedding dress. Then at me. Then back at the paramedic.
Yes.
Yes, I want to ride with her. Ma'am, you're getting married, the paramedic said gently. Don't you have a ceremony to get to? The ceremony can wait, Rachel said firmly. Then she turned to Marcus, who was talking to a police officer, giving a statement. Marcus. He looked over. I'm going to the hospital with Kate. I'll be back when I'm back. If you want to wait, wait. If you want to cancel, cancel. But right now, my sister needs me. Something shifted in Marcus's face. Some of the tension, the anger, the doubt from earlier, it softened. Not gone, but changed. I'll be here, he said. We'll talk when you get back. Okay. Rachel. My mother called. She was standing with a police officer, probably giving her own statement. Are you sure? I can go with Kate. You should stay. You should. I'm going, Mom. And just like that, it was decided. They loaded me into the ambulance, Rachel climbing in beside me, holding my good hand while the paramedics worked. The doors closed and we pulled away, sirens off now that it wasn't a critical emergency, just two sisters in the back of an ambulance while a wedding sat abandoned behind us. Your dress is ruined, I said. Rachel looked down at the bloodstains, the torn hem, the asphalt smudges.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's just a dress. She squeezed my hand.
I'm sorry. For everything. For the seat by the trash bin.
For blaming you for things that weren't your fault. For 8 months of silence because I was too proud to admit you might have been right about Marcus and me rushing things. Were you? Rushing? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. She watched the paramedic adjust my foreline. But I do love him. That part was never a lie. I love him, and I'm terrified he doesn't love me the same way, so I try to make him stay. And that's not love, is it? That's just fear dressed up in a wedding gown. What are you going to do? Tell him the truth. All of it. About the pregnancy test, about the miscarriage, about not being sure what really happened, about being scared and making bad choices because of it. She wiped her eyes, smearing what was left of her mascara. And then let him decide if he still wants to marry me, if he wants to postpone, if he wants to walk away entirely. Whatever he chooses, I'll accept it. That's very mature of you. Kate, a woman just tried to stab you with a catering knife because she was obsessed with my fiancé. I think we're past the point where I get to pretend I have my life together. She laughed, slightly hysterical. God, what a disaster. This is going to be the wedding everyone talks about for years. Remember Rachel Myron's wedding? The one where the bride put her sister by the trash, and then a stalker attacked them in the parking lot. I'll be a legend. The worst kind of legend.
Could be worse, I said. How?
The stalker could have succeeded. Then you'd be the bride whose sister died at her wedding. That would be an even worse legend. Rachel's laugh turned into a sob. Don't
joke about that.
When I saw that knife coming down, when I thought she was going to... She couldn't finish. She just held my hand tighter. We rode in silence for a while, the ambulance swaying gently around corners. The paramedic checked my vitals again, made notes on a tablet, told us we'd be at the hospital in 5 minutes. Kate, Rachel said quietly. Why did you step in front of her? What do you mean? I mean after everything I did to you today. After I humiliated you, told you that you didn't belong, put you next to the trash like you were garbage. Why would you take a knife for me? I thought about it. About all the years of competition I'd never wanted. About the times Rachel had made me feel small, insignificant, less than. About the 8 months of silence that had hurt more than I'd admitted to anyone, even myself. About the truth underneath all of that. Because you're my sister, I said simply. And when someone comes at you with a knife, I don't think about the seating chart or the things we've said to each other. I just think about protecting you. That's what sisters do. Even when the sister doesn't deserve it? Especially then. The ambulance pulled up to the emergency room entrance. The back doors opened, and they wheeled me out, Rachel following, still in her blood-stained wedding dress, drawing stares from everyone in the waiting area. The ER doctor confirmed what the paramedic had suspected. The cut needed stitches, but had missed all the important vessels and nerves. Just a clean slice across the surface, painful but not permanently damaging. They numbed my arm, stitched me up, bandaged it properly, and gave me a tetanus shot for good measure. Through it all, Rachel sat in the plastic chair beside the bed, scrolling through her phone, dealing with the aftermath. Mom says the police arrested Lauren. She's being charged with assault with a deadly weapon and a bunch of other things. They found her car in the parking lot. She had newspaper clippings about Marcus, photos of him, photos of you and me and the whole family. A whole stalker shrine in her trunk. Rachel looked up from her phone. Trevor feels terrible. He had no idea. He met her at a coffee shop 3 weeks ago, thought she was nice, asked her to the wedding as a casual date. She apparently planned the whole thing. Has Marcus said anything? He texted. Asked if you were okay. Asked when I'd be back. She bit her lip. He said we need to talk. Really talk. About everything. That's good. Is it? I'm terrified, Kate. What if I tell him everything and he walks away? What if I lose him? Then you lose him. But at least you'll lose him honestly. I adjusted the sling they put my arm in. And if he does walk away, you'll survive. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm falling apart. You're sitting in an emergency room in a blood-stained wedding dress because you chose to ride with me instead of salvaging your wedding. That's pretty strong. Rachel looked down at her dress again. I should probably change before I go back. I can't walk into my wedding looking like this. There's a gift shop downstairs. They probably have something. I'm not wearing a County General Hospital t-shirt to my wedding. Why not? It would certainly be memorable. She laughed. A real laugh this time, not the hysterical kind. You're enjoying this. A little bit, I admitted. Is that terrible? Probably. But I deserve it. She stood up, smoothing down her ruined skirt. I'm going to call Mom, get her to bring me a change of clothes. Then we'll head back, and I'll face whatever's waiting for me. Together? Together, I agreed. Rachel stepped out into the hallway to make the call. Through the partially open door, I could hear her voice, steady and calm, explaining to my mother what she needed. No tears. No hysteria. Just Rachel, dealing with her mess. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Marcus. Is Rachel okay? I typed back one-handed. She's okay. Shaken up, but okay. We'll be back soon.
Good.
I'm glad you're okay too. What you did was incredibly brave. Or incredibly stupid. Maybe both. Look, I need to ask you something. The stuff Rachel told you in the parking lot. About the pregnancy. About not being sure what really happened. Is that true? Or is she just trying to manipulate the situation again? I stared at the message for a long time. This was my chance. I could tell Marcus everything, confirm his worst suspicions, maybe push him toward calling off the wedding entirely. Part of me, the part that was still hurt by the trash bin and the 8 months of silence, wanted to do exactly that. But I thought about Rachel kneeling in my blood. Rachel holding my hand in the ambulance. Rachel choosing me over her wedding. I think she's telling you the truth as she understands it. I think she's confused and scared and has been for a long time. But I also think she loves you. What you do with that information is up to you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. Thank you. See you soon. Rachel came back in, phone in hand. Mom's on her way with clothes. She's bringing you something too, since your dress got blood on it. She sat back down. What are you smiling about? Nothing. Just thinking about you walking back into that ballroom. Everyone's going to have questions. Let them ask. I'm done hiding from things. She reached over and took my good hand again. Thank you. For being honest with me in the parking lot. For not sugarcoating things. You've always been the one who tells me the truth even when I don't want to hear it. I've hated you for it sometimes. But I needed it. I need it. Even when the truth is ugly? Especially then. My mother arrived 20 minutes later with a garment bag and a worried expression. She hugged Rachel, hugged me carefully because of my arm, and then stood back to look at us both. You two look terrible, she said. Thanks, Mom. Rachel and I said in unison, then then looked at each other and laughed. I mean it. You're both a mess. But she was smiling. Rachel, there's a bathroom down the hall where you can change. I brought your blue dress, the one you wore to the rehearsal dinner. And Kate, I brought you that black dress from your car. The one you had for the after party. How did you get into my car? You left the keys in the door when the incident happened. I grabbed them before the police sectioned off the area. We changed in the hospital bathroom, helping each other with zippers and clasps. Rachel in her simple blue rehearsal dinner dress, me in basic black. No fancy wedding guest attire, no blood, no drama. Just two sisters in regular clothes, washing hospital soap off our hands, fixing our hair as best we could. Ready? Rachel asked, looking at our reflections in the mirror. Are you?
No.
But I'm going anyway. We rode back to the hotel in my mother's car, nobody speaking, just watching the city lights blur past the windows. It was full dark now, almost 9 o'clock. The wedding was supposed to have started at 6. 4 hours ago. A lifetime ago. The parking lot was mostly empty when we arrived. A lot of the guests must have left, confused and concerned and probably annoyed. But there were still cars there. Still people waiting. We walked back into the hotel together, the three of us. Through the lobby, past the same desk clerk who'd watched me leave hours ago, now watching me return with stitches and a sling. Past the bathrooms where my mother had probably had her breakdown. Past the corridor that led to the kitchen where Lauren had grabbed the knife. Back to the ballroom doors. Rachel stopped, her hand on the handle. What if he's not there? What if everyone's gone? Then everyone's gone, I said. And you deal with it. But you won't know until you open the door. She opened the door. The ballroom was about half full. Maybe 100 people, scattered among the tables, some in their formal wear, others who'd clearly gone home and changed into more comfortable clothes. The chandeliers were dimmed. The flowers were wilting slightly in their vases. The wedding cake sat untouched on its table, 3 tiers of white fondant and sugar flowers. And at the front, by the altar that had been set up for the ceremony, stood Marcus. He'd taken off his tuxedo jacket. His tie was gone. His white shirt was wrinkled and rolled up at the sleeves. He looked exhausted. But he was there. Everyone turned to look as we entered. A murmur ran through the room, people whispering, pointing at Rachel in her simple blue dress instead of her wedding gown, at me with my arm in a sling, at my mother trailing behind us with tears in her eyes. Marcus started walking toward us. Not running, just walking, steady and purposeful, down the aisle between the tables. He stopped in front of Rachel. Hey, he said. Hey, she whispered back. Is Kate okay? 12 stitches. She'll be fine. Good.
He looked at me.
Thank you. For protecting her. For being there. She's my sister, I said simply. He nodded, then turned his attention back to Rachel. The whole room was watching now, silent, waiting. We need to talk, Marcus said. I know. Not here. Not in front of everyone. He held out his hand. Come with me? Rachel took his hand and they walked together out of the ballroom, leaving me standing there with my mother and 100 curious guests. My mother squeezed my shoulder. Come on, let's sit down. She led me to a table near the front, not the trash bin corner, not the door, just a regular table where few of Rachel's college friends sat looking uncomfortable. They made room for us, asked about my arm, whispered questions about what had really happened. I gave them the short version. Stalker. Knife. Police. Hospital. They stared at me like I was telling them a story from a movie, not real life. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. People started getting restless, checking their phones, murmuring about leaving. The DJ, who'd been waiting patiently in the corner, started packing up his equipment. Then the ballroom doors opened again. Rachel and Marcus walked in together, still holding hands. They walked straight to the front, to the altar where the officiant, an older man in a nice suit, was sitting in the front row looking confused and tired. Marcus picked up the microphone from the DJ's abandoned equipment. Can I have everyone's attention, please? The room went quiet. First, I want to thank everyone who stayed. I know this has been the strangest wedding you've ever been to. Trust me, It's the strangest one I've ever been to, and I'm the groom. A few nervous laughs. Second, I want to apologize for the chaos, for the delay, for everything you've witnessed today. This was supposed to be a celebration, and instead it turned into something else entirely. He looked at Rachel, standing beside him. Rachel and I have been talking. Really talking, maybe for the first time since we got engaged. About the pregnancy. About the doubts. About the fears we've both been carrying that we were too scared to say out loud.
He paused.
And we've made a decision. My heart clenched. This was it. The moment where he called it off. Where Rachel's worst fear came true. We're not getting married tonight, Marcus said. Rachel's face stayed calm, but I saw her hand tighten on his. We're not getting married tonight because we've realized we've been planning a wedding instead of planning a marriage. We've been so focused on this one day, this one perfect moment, that we forgot to talk about all the days that come after. He squeezed Rachel's hand. So we're postponing. Not canceling. Postponing. We're going to take some time. Go to counseling. Figure out if we're really ready for this, or if we've just been caught up in the momentum of what we're supposed to do. He turned to Rachel, speaking to her now, not the crowd. I love you. I do. But I need to know that you trust me enough to tell me the truth, even when it's ugly. And you need to know that I love you for who you are, not because of any pregnancy or obligation or fear. We both need to figure out if this is right for the right reasons. Rachel took the microphone from him with shaking hands. I lied, she said, her voice echoing through the ballroom. Not about loving Marcus. Not about wanting to marry him. But about other things. About the pregnancy, about being ready, about having everything figured out. I lied because I was scared. Because I thought if I wasn't perfect, he wouldn't want me. And that's not fair to him. It's not fair to either of us. She looked out at the crowd, at all the faces watching her confession. My sister Kate told me 8 months ago that I wasn't ready. That Marcus and I were rushing. I got angry at her. I cut her out of my life. I blamed her for planting doubt in Marcus's head when really, I was the one who was doubtful all along. And today, I tried to punish her for being right. I humiliated her at my own wedding because I was lashing out at the truth I didn't want to face. She turned to look at me, and then she took a knife for me. She stepped in front of a blade meant for me, without thinking twice. Because that's what you do for family, even when they don't deserve it. Especially when they don't deserve it. Tears were streaming down her face now. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Kate. I'm sorry to Marcus. I'm sorry to everyone who came here expecting a wedding and got a therapy session instead. She laughed wetly. But I'm not sorry for postponing. Because Marcus is right. We need time. We need honesty. And we need to figure out if we're getting married because we can't imagine life without each other, or because we've already sent out the invitations. She handed the microphone back to Marcus. The reception is still going to happen, he said. We've paid for the food, the drinks, the DJ. You all got dressed up and came here.
So please stay. Eat. Dance.
Celebrate love, even if it's not in the form we all expected today. He smiled tiredly. And maybe celebrate the fact that nobody got seriously hurt when a stalker attacked us with a knife. That seems worth celebrating too. A few people laughed. A few people clapped. And then, slowly, the energy in the room shifted from awkward tension to something lighter. The DJ, who'd been packing up, started setting his equipment back up. Waiters appeared with trays of appetizers. Someone popped a champagne bottle. Marcus and Rachel came down from the altar, people surrounding them with hugs and questions and support. I watched from my table as my sister handled it all with more grace than I'd seen from her in years. No pretense. No performance. Just Rachel, being honest, being real. She broke away from the crowd and came to sit beside me. That was brave, I said. That was terrifying. She grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing waiter and downed half of it. But it needed to be said. All of it. What happens now?
Now?
Now we eat overpriced wedding food and pretend this is a normal party. Tomorrow, Marcus and I start counseling. Next week, we figure out if we're going to set a new date or call the whole thing off. She looked at me. And hopefully, if you're willing, I start rebuilding a relationship with my sister. The one I should have been building all along instead of competing with. I never wanted to compete with you, I said. I know. That made it worse, somehow. You were just living your life, and I kept seeing it as a challenge, a threat, a comparison I was losing. She finished her champagne. I'm going to work on that. In therapy. Along with all my other issues. That's a long list. Tell me about it. She smiled. But I'm going to try. Really try this time.
To be better. To be honest.
To be the kind of sister who deserves someone stepping in front of a knife for her. You already are that sister, I said. You just forgot for a while. She hugged me then, carefully because of my arm, and we sat there together while the not-wedding reception happened around us. People danced. People ate. People celebrated the strange, messy, honest thing they'd witnessed instead of the perfect ceremony they'd expected. My mother joined us eventually, a glass of wine in her hand, her makeup fixed, her composure mostly restored. Well, she said, sitting down, this is certainly not what I imagined when I wrote the check for this wedding. Are you mad? Rachel asked. Mad?
No. Confused?
Absolutely.
Relieved?
Surprisingly, yes. She sipped her wine. I've been watching you two circle each other for years, hurting each other, pushing each other away. Today was horrible. Today was violent and scary, and nothing a mother wants to see. But maybe it needed to happen. Maybe you both needed to hit bottom to figure out how to start climbing back up. That's very philosophical, Mom, I said. That's the wine talking. But she was smiling. I'm glad you're both okay. I'm glad you're talking again. And I'm glad Marcus had the sense to postpone instead of going through with something neither of them was ready for. We sat together, the three of us, watching the party. Marcus came over eventually, asked me to dance, carefully because of my arm. We swayed to some slow song while he apologized again for Rachel's behavior, for the chaos, for everything. It's not your fault, I told him. Maybe not. But I enabled some of it. I let her avoid the hard conversations, because it was easier than pushing. I'm working on that too. Are you going to marry her? Eventually? He was quiet for a moment. I don't know. I want to, but I wanna for the right reasons. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. She's lucky to have you, he said. A sister willing to take a knife for her. That's rare. She'd do the same for me. Would she? I thought about Rachel kneeling in my blood. Rachel choosing the ambulance over her wedding. Rachel standing at that altar and telling the truth even though it cost her everything she thought she wanted. Yeah, I said. She would. The party went until midnight. People gradually filtered out, tired and full, and buzzing with the story they'd tell for years. The wedding that wasn't. The bride who postponed. The sister who took a knife and somehow made everything better. Rachel and Marcus left together, not to a honeymoon suite, but to their apartment to pack for a weekend away where they'd talk without the pressure of wedding plans and family expectations. They hugged me goodbye, both of them, and I watched them walk out together, uncertain but honest. My mother drove me home, both of us exhausted. Thank you, she said as she pulled up to my apartment. For forgiving her. For being there. She's my sister, I said, the phrase becoming a mantra. That's what sisters do. I went inside, changed out of my black dress, took my pain medication, and collapsed into bed. My phone buzzed with messages. Friends who'd heard about what happened. Coworkers checking in. A long text from Rachel that just said I love you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I'll do better. I wrote back, I love you too. Get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. Then I turned off my phone and let myself fall into sleep, my stitched arm throbbing dully, my head full of the strangest day of my life. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Rachel. Kate, can you meet me for coffee?
Sure. When?
Now, if you're free. I met her at a cafe halfway between our apartments, a quiet place with good lattes and uncomfortable metal chairs. She was already there when I arrived, 2 cups on the table, her hair in a simple ponytail, no makeup, wearing jeans and a sweater. She looked younger somehow, less polished, more real. How are you? I asked, sitting down. Good. Better. Marcus and I have been doing the counseling thing. It's hard. Like really hard. But good hard, if that makes sense. It does. We're talking about things we should have talked about a year ago. Before the engagement. Before the pregnancy scare. Before everything got so complicated. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. I told him everything.
About the test.
About not being sure if I was really pregnant, or if I just wanted to be. About the fear of losing him. He didn't walk away. That's good. It is. But we're still postponed. Still figuring things out. Our therapist says we need at least 6 months before we even think about setting a new date. She looked up at me. I'm okay with that. For the first time in my life, I'm okay with not having everything planned and perfect. Character growth, I said, smiling. Shut up. But she was smiling too. How's your arm? I flexed it experimentally. The stitches were out now, just a pink scar across my forearm.
Good. Healing.
The doctor says it'll fade eventually. I'm sorry you have a scar because of me. It's a good story. How I got this scar. My sister Stalker attacked us at her wedding that wasn't. I took a sip of coffee. Besides, you have scars too. Yours just don't show. That's disgustingly poetic of you. I have my moments. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching people come and go, living their normal lives without wedding drama or knife attacks or family revelations. Kate, Rachel said finally, I want to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Okay. Do you think Marcus and I should get married? Eventually? When we're ready? Or do you think we should just let it go? I thought about it. About Marcus tackling Lauren to save me. About Rachel sitting in the hospital holding my hand. About 2 imperfect people trying to figure out how to love each other honestly. I think you should marry him if you wake up one day and can't imagine not marrying him. Not because you're afraid of losing him. Not because you've already paid deposits. But because the idea of building a life with him makes you happy, even when you think about the hard parts. The arguments. The compromises. The boring Tuesdays when nothing special happens. I met her eyes. Can you imagine that? The boring Tuesdays.
She was quiet for a long time.
Then she smiled. Yeah, I can. That's the weird part. I can imagine the boring Tuesdays and they don't scare me. It's the special occasions I'm afraid of. The big moments where I feel like I have to be perfect. Then work on that. With Marcus. With your therapist. With yourself. And with you? Can we work on us too? On being actual sisters instead of competitors. We're already working on it, I said. This? Right now? This is working on it. She reached across the table and took my hand. Not desperately like in the ambulance. Just normally like sisters do. Thank you, she said. For not giving up on me.
For stepping in front of that knife.
For telling me the truth even when I didn't want to hear it. For all of it. You're welcome. But Rachel? Yeah. If you ever seat me by a trash bin again, I'm not taking any knives for you. I'm letting you get stabbed. She laughed, real and bright and genuine. Fair enough. We finished our coffee, made plans for dinner the following week, hugged goodbye on the sidewalk. I watched her walk to her car, no longer the perfect bride in the perfect dress planning the perfect wedding. Just my sister Rachel, messy and honest and trying. I walked to my own car, got in, looked at the fading scar on my arm. Some wounds heal. Some scars fade. And some families have to fall apart completely before they can figure out how to be whole. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Love you, little sister. I wrote back. Love you too. Even when you're terrible. Especially when I'm terrible, she responded. Especially then, I agreed. I drove home through the afternoon traffic, thinking about weddings and sisters and the strange ways we hurt each other trying to protect ourselves. Thinking about how sometimes the worst day of your life can crack something open that needed to break. Thinking about boring Tuesdays and coffee dates and second chances. And I smiled.